Well, an interesting story here because we've talked about this. Chances are you've heard the ads that are running here on CJAD about Meta blocking all these sites and what do you do? And don't forget, you can still go here to get your news, whether it's to CTV or to CJAD.
And I think we think about it on an impact that it has for us personally, right? Like you can't get easy access to some of the stories, but we hadn't thought about it from a business standpoint.
We also, when you talk about big companies, right? The Bells and Rogers of the world, that's big media, but there are a lot of small operators in this country. How are they affected? Because you would think it'd be even more difficult for them, given they don't have the same kinds of resources, right? ALFRED HERMIDA is a journalism professor at the University of British Columbia. He's on the line right now. Can you tell us, Mr. HERMIDA, exactly, first of all, this does affect these small companies, and second of all, how likely, given what we know now, assuming there's not a change in direction here, are they likely to actually survive?
Hi, good afternoon, Aaron and Natasha. So Facebook is blocking anybody who does news. So be it something out of Bell or be it something out of a local startup in provincial BC, they're all affected. But like you say, the problem for the local news outlets is they're relying on their communities, and often those communities are formed around social media. You'll have the people who will come to the website who are used to doing that, and that may be about half of your visitors, but it's everybody else. Because, you want to go as a news outlet to where Canadians live online. And, 2/3 of Canadians live part of their lives online on Facebook. If you're not there, you're simply not going to get the exposure. They're not going to know you exist. They're not going to see your stories. They're not going to stumble across it and then go, oh, that's interesting. That's happening in my community. I should read more and learn about this.
Right. It's that we've been kind of passive, right? It's we stumble upon it and then we explore it, but we haven't been actively going necessarily to those sites. So is this a question of a shifting of behavior, and will that allow these smaller outlets to survive?
Well, if we go back to the pre-internet years, we had to go and find news. We maybe had our newspaper subscription or would tune into the radio and TV. But the internet and social media turned that on its head. There's so much news there, we don't need to seek it out. It will find us. Somebody might tell us about it at work. We might hear on the radio when we're commuting into work in the car. But also, we're going to do it when we do other things. People don't go to Facebook to check out the local news. They go out to find out what's happening with friends and family. And then they find the stuff that is of interest to them. And that's been the big shift. The challenge now is we've had more than 20 years of this attitude and these behaviors as we expect the news to come to us. And suddenly, overnight, we're telling our audiences, hey, you know how it was convenient for you to just find stuff online? Now you're going to have to make an effort and bookmark us, visit in the website, make that additional step. And that's a big change to happen in a very short time.
To your point, and I remember reading this, that Meta, when they decided to take their ball and go home, and they actually said, well, we know people don't come to our websites, to our pages, to find news, which is something you just said. So we become accustomed to having it there, though we don't look for it. So with it gone, what do you think happens?
Well, it's interesting because Meta say that only about 3% of what people see on Facebook is related to news. The thing is, when people go to Facebook and they see something news and you ask them, what was the source, they'll say Facebook, or they'll say, oh, my uncle posted it, or my daughter alerted me to it. They don't think of the specific news outlets. So you've already started losing that connection between that local radio station and your audience because of the intermediary. And so we're going to lose that. People are going to go on, and because the news isn't there, they might not see what they're not seeing, if you see what I mean. It's going to be hard to figure out how much you're missing because you don't know what you're missing in the first place.
And it makes me think, we often, when we talk about this subject matter, people on the text line are like, well, survival of the fittest, this is how it works. I'm not losing anything. I get my news elsewhere anyways. But people really are losing something here, aren't they?
Oh, this is a lose-lose for everybody. It's people lose that ready-made news that comes to them that maybe they didn't know they were interested in, but they find it on Facebook. So they lose out. And these local outlets that are trying to build an audience, trying to serve their communities, often connecting to them through social media, because social media is good at fostering community, they're also losing out. This is all lose, lose, lose all round.
Well, thank you very much for your time. That is ALFRED HERMIDA, journalism professor at the University of BC. And now we're going to go to Christopher Curtis, who is one of those smaller local news outlets very much affected of this. He's the co-founder of Rover. Chris, are you feeling the impact already?
Oh yeah, no, it's a huge drop in engagement, a huge drop in traffic. Basically our business model, we're almost 100% subscriber funded. We get a little bit of funding here and there on the occasional grant we apply for. But, the way it works is every month, we lose a few subscribers, some months more than others. Lately it's been tough because we're about to hit a recession, it seems like. But we use social media to go out and replace those losses and sometimes even grow the business. And we're in the middle of like a pretty aggressive campaign of growth. And that has been just shut down by what's happening over Meta and Google.
So what does that mean though going forward? Is this just a matter of running out the clock unless Meta changes their mind, Chris?
I'm not going to let this die. I mean, you guys know me. I'm a little bit, something's wrong with my head. So I'm going to keep going until, I've worked it to the bone. But I mean, for now, it just means we're slowly dying. We're inching towards life support. So we're okay. Our revenue's okay. We couldn't maybe survive this for months and months and months.
Yeah.
We'll do our best, but what's hard for us is that a lot of the stories we cover are stories that the bigger news outlets maybe don't have time for, or they don't have contacts in certain communities. And so you have these small communities across Quebec that are just going to start losing local news, and just having to hope that, the local elected official is honest and hope that the local businessman or business person isn't exploiting people, and kind of hope that where there's wrongdoing, people are either being caught by the authorities or whatever. But it's a huge loss for a lot of these small communities. And, for us, it's our livelihood. This is how I feed my family. This is how I pay for my kids' daycare. This is how I pay rent. Most of what we get by on, and it's not a lot, is the money I make from the Rover.
Listen, it's a tough situation all around. I just wonder, have you had any sort of dealing? I mean, the government's kind of, decided to play hardball here. I'm not sure that's going to be the case forever. Have they talked to you?
It's hard to look tough when you're on your fourth cabinet minister on this file, and
Fair enough.
The previous ones have kind of failed it. And it's hard, I think like to sort of anticipate where you're going with this. Yeah, no, I've spoken to I think the director of communications for Minister Pascal Saint-Onge, Heritage Canada minister, who's handling this right now. They were super courteous and really kind, but I get the sense that they're in over their head, that they thought they could play tough and that Facebook was bluffing, that Facebook was not bluffing, and now it feels like since the bill is already, it's already a law,
right?
It's very hard to step back now, and it's very hard to diffuse the situation. So I think both parties feel like they're painted in a corner. We don't know what the solution is. My understanding is Google is at the table right now, and they are speaking to the government, but Meta has not been back to the negotiating table, and that in previous occasions the Liberals turned down meetings with Meta. So I mean, it's not like Meta is taking their ball and going home, but I think the Liberals need to, they need to wake up and get their head in the game, because for us it's the life and death of our businesses, and it's how we feed our families, and we don't get a cushy government pension to retire to when this is done. If we fail, most of us go back to our old jobs. And in my case, I don't want to have to work for my cousins in construction. I'm very bad at it.
I got it. Chris, I appreciate the honesty and the candor,
the personal.
too. So.
I think people need to hear that.
And if you
hey, if anyone wants to support us,
I was just going to say
therover.ca, baby. Therover.ca.